We ended the previous video with Nader becoming the regent of the infant Shah Abbas III, which meant that Nader was now not only the commander-in-chief of the Safavids, but also their political ruler. Before, we mostly talked about his humble early beginnings, and how he carved out a future for himself as a great military commander. So now is a good time to tell you more about his policies, administration, and character. Of course, we will not forget to talk about Nader's victorious campaign against the Ottoman Empire. Welcome to our third video on Nader Shah. This video is sponsored by you. Unfortunately, the YouTube environment is not great right now, with the algorithm being friendlier to drama and react channels and YouTube being permissive of AI slop. We don't do drama and we don't do AI, but thanks to our members and patrons, our channel continues to make 3 public videos per week, with the team intact and going strong. In recognition of their generosity and contributions, members and patrons receive 2 additional exclusive videos each week, and access many other perks. Join them to watch more than 250 exclusive videos covering every era of history by pressing the join button under the video or the links in the description and pinned comment. Upon becoming regent, Nader removed the Safavid royal family and the infant Shah to a harem in Qazvin, while valuables were taken from the palaces of Isfahan. This marked the end of Isfahan's great era, since its economy depended heavily on the court and bureaucracy. Nader, however, was not a palace ruler. True to his semi-nomadic background and restless character, he spent most of his life on campaign and handled administration on the move. After becoming Shah, he shifted the capital to Mashhad, with the fortress of Kalat serving as court and treasury. Nader was a general first and a ruler second. His main concern was maintaining a powerful standing army, and taxation served that goal above all else. He expanded and improved his musketeers, equipping them with new firearms and horses, which required steady pay. War booty was not enough, so taxation became heavy. As regent, he introduced reforms that centralized revenue collection. Provincial governors gathered taxes, kept what they needed locally, and sent the rest to the treasury. The system was prone to abuse, but Nader controlled it through fear, spies, and loyal appointees. He also ordered a broad survey of lands and properties, including religious estates, to assess tax potential, overseen by his close companion Taghi Khan Shirazi. Officials had to submit regular reports, and corruption or negligence was punished. These reforms strengthened central authority, but the burden on ordinary people was severe. Merchants were heavily taxed, while peasants faced requisitions of cattle and food for the army, worsening living conditions, damaging the economy, and fueling discontent. Resettlement was another key policy. Like the Safavids before him, Nader used forced migrations to punish rebellious groups, or reward loyal ones with frontier lands. Many people were moved to Khorasan, Herat, and the Caucasus to ensure control and repopulate war-ravaged areas. This won him some tribal loyalty, but left punished groups resentful and waiting for opportunities to rebel. Contemporaries described Nader as a tall, powerful, and charismatic man with a commanding voice. Constant campaigning gave him a weather-beaten appearance, which only added to his presence. He lived simply, eating plain food, sometimes sleeping outdoors under his cloak, and sharing the hardships of campaign life. He was no ascetic, though. He drank with close companions, and sometimes used private drinking gatherings to build political relationships. The English East India Company representative also described him as highly attracted to women. Yet, unlike rulers ruined by excess, Nader remained disciplined. Military and state affairs always came first. He was fierce and resolute, willing to execute those who betrayed, disobeyed, or broke their word. But he was not wantonly cruel. His punishments were usually driven by political and military calculation, not sadism. He often pardoned defeated enemies, and even recruited them into his army. Sources also note that he protected captured women from harm, and was regarded as fair and impartial in dealing with his subjects. For instance, the Greek merchant and traveller Vasily Vatatzes wrote about Nader, "To such an extent was his reputation for justice known, that not only did the powerful culprits become afraid and cease their injustices, but also the weakest held him as their champion, as he allowed them to live without fear and in safety through his safe judgments. In another example, after one of the battles with the Ottomans, the Kurds and the Afsharids of Nader's army came to blows over the war booty the Ottomans left behind. Nader could have sided with men of his own Afshar tribe, but he judged in favor of the Kurds, demonstrating that tribalism was not part of his character. For now, let's not give you too many spoilers and just add that in later years of his life, his illness and paranoia eliminated many things that his supporters and companions admired about Nader. So let's get back to what Nader did best: warfare. Remember, we ended our previous video with Nader deposing Shah Tahmasp after a disastrous campaign in which the Safavids lost Tabriz, Hamadan and Kermanshah to the Ottomans. In late 1732, Nader launched another campaign against them to regain the territories. His first target was Kermanshah, which the Ottomans abandoned after a brief struggle. But unlike his previous campaigns against the Ottomans, this time he did not march on Hamadan and Tabriz. Nader instead chose to target Baghdad, a key Ottoman-controlled city close to the Safavid border. Baghdad was one of the largest Ottoman cities, with significant symbolic importance as the old center of Islam. Capturing Baghdad could have triggered an internal breakdown in the Ottoman Empire, giving the Safavid Empire an enormous advantage in this centuries-long rivalry in the Middle East. Or Nader could have used Baghdad as a bargaining chip to secure the return of Azerbaijan, the Caucasus, and other areas captured by the Ottomans in recent wars. And Nader believed that his 80,000-man army, the largest he had assembled until then, would be sufficient for such a tall task. In December 1729, they crossed the border. He intended to move through the Zagros Mountains, an audacious or perhaps adventurous and ill-advised decision given that the Ottomans had a strong point in a mountain pass called Sapol-i-Zahab, and due to obvious terrain difficulties exacerbated by snowy winter weather. Many of his men struggled with this march and fell behind. But 600 men, headed by Nader, were first to reach Sapol-i-Zahab and attack the rear of the Ottoman strongpoint in the dark of the night. The Ottoman garrison was routed. As Nader passed through the Zagros Mountains, the rest of his troops and some reinforcements from Hamadan joined him. Understanding the difficulties of besieging a city the size of Baghdad, Nader wanted to draw the city's Ottoman governor, Ahmed Pasha, into the open. Ahmed Pasha did not budge, and after leaving 7,000 men to besiege Kirkuk, Nader proceeded to encircle Baghdad in preparation for a siege. The Ottoman governor tried to prevent this by harassing Nader with occasional skirmishes and fortifying the western bank of the Tigris. To evade Ahmed Pasha's fortifications, Nader decided to cross the river upstream during the night. His German engineer rapidly constructed a pontoon bridge of sorts, consisting of long palm trunks resting on inflated animal skins. On February 15, 1733, Nader and 2,500 men of his vanguard crossed the bridge first. The next day, 1,500 additional men did the same, but the bridge collapsed before they could cross, leaving Nader stranded with a small force. Ahmed Pasha learned of this and sent a large force to confront Nader. The Ottoman army was about to overwhelm Nader's vanguard, but the sudden arrival of the aforementioned 1,500 men decided the battle in favor of Nader. Baghdad was now fully encircled, with a 100,000-strong Safavid force under Nader's command. Since the Ottoman heavy cannons had a greater range than the Safavid field artillery, breaching the city walls was not an option. So Nader imposed a blockade to force Ahmed Pasha to surrender. Axworthy reports that it was estimated that 60,000 people in Baghdad died during the siege. Ahmed Pasha was about to surrender the city and opened negotiations with Nader. But then he got word that a famous Ottoman commander and former Grand Vizier, Topal Osman Pasha, with 80,000 men and 60 cannons, was coming to relieve Baghdad. Nader decided to leave 12,000 men to maintain the blockade of Baghdad, and march the rest of his army, some 70,000 men, to face Topal Osman Pasha near Samarra on July 19th. On this extremely hot day, Topal Osman Pasha positioned his troops on uneven ground, with the river Tigris and wind behind them, with the calculation that smoke and dust caused by the battle would blow into the eyes of Nader's men. He intended to draw Nader into attacking first by purposefully making his vanguard appear weak. and Nader took the bait when he ordered his cavalry vanguard to assault the Ottoman left flank. But this first charge was beaten back by the Ottoman cannon fire. Then Nader decided on a full frontal assault with 50,000 men, the bulk of his army. Remember that Nader had won all his battles, including against the Ottoman armies, and this decision may have been the result of overconfidence caused by his victory streak. Initially, the situation looked promising for Nader, as his forces pushed Topel Osman Pasha's center all the way back to their camp, capturing several cannons. At this point, 2,000 Kurdish soldiers of the Ottoman army left the battlefield, making the situation worse. But just as the situation started looking bleak for the Ottomans, Topel Osman Pasha stabilized the situation when he sent 20,000 from his reserves into the battle. The bloody battle continued for hours, with huge losses on both sides. There was a stalemate. Neither side could achieve a decisive advantage. As Axworthy put it very eloquently, each man fought in his own narrow world of confusion, smoke, dust and fear, with little idea of anything more than a few yards away, and little sense of anything beyond survival and keeping faith with his closest comrades. The long battle was to the advantage of the Ottomans, who could drink water from the Tigris. Indeed, sometimes relatively small details can significantly influence the fate of major battles. Nader was fighting amongst his men. He would ride into the most threatening portions of the battlefield to encourage his men. Amidst all this chaos, Nader wounded an Ottoman soldier with a lance, who fell together with his horse, causing Nader's horse to fall down as well. The rumor of Nader's death quickly spread through the Safavid ranks. Panic ensued, and after 9 hours, Nader's army fell back. The Battle of Samarra was the first defeat for Nader. He lost 30,000 men. Although Topel Osman Pasha won, he also lost 20,000 men. Nader's forces besieging Baghdad were also defeated a few days later by Ahmed Pasha. Nader's army was battered. He understood that lingering could be risky, and anyone with ambition to topple him may see his first defeat as an opportune moment to oppose him. Therefore, he quickly regrouped in Hamadan, ordering new recruits and new supplies from his governors, intending to confront the Ottoman army in Iraq once again. However, this new and rapid recruitment campaign was a massive strain on ordinary people, particularly residents of the empire's western provinces, which had been a battlefield for so long. But Nader insisted, justifying this decision by saying, "How is it that they talk so much about me, for I have not come to leave the country in peace and quiet, but to turn everything upside down, since I am not a human being, but I am God's wrath and punishment." In just 3 months, Nader's army was refitted and marched on Kirkuk. And even though Topel Osman Pasha won a victory, it came at a major cost. And all his reinforcement requests were ignored in Istanbul, and he had to refit his army with untested new recruits from Syria. The outcome was not good for the Ottomans. As Nader moved to encircle Kirkuk and Topel Osman Pasha's army in it, he got word that a 12,000-strong vanguard force of the Ottomans under Mehmed Pasha was on the move. He sent Haji Beg Khan to lure Mehmed Pasha closer to his main army, and succeeded. The Ottoman vanguard was ambushed and destroyed. After that, Nader took his army and advanced on the nearby main Ottoman force. The battle started with hours-long back-and-forth fire by musketeers from both sides. Then Nader sent his cavalry on a double envelopment move on the Ottoman flanks, with him in charge of the left flank and Haji Beg commanding the right flank, while Nader's musketeers advanced on the center. As the Ottoman janissaries positioned in the center started to give way to Nader's musketeers, Topel Osman Pasha personally joined the defense to turn the tide of the battle, but it was too late. The Ottoman commander was killed by musketeers, and the Ottoman army fled. Nader once again moved to besiege Baghdad. The governor Ahmed Pasha knew that Baghdad would not be able to withstand another siege. So on December 19, 1733, he met with Nader and agreed to return all Safavid territories captured since 1722 in exchange for peace. This was a good deal for Nader, as he did not have time to inflict further damage to the Ottomans, as he had to deal with Muhammad Khan Baluch's rebellion spreading in Khuzestan and Fars. The problem was that the Ottoman governor refused to accept this deal and sent another army to fight Nader. After defeating the rebels, Nader decided to move his army into the Caucasus to retake the Ottoman-occupied territories. First, he moved to the Greater Caucasus and defeated the Lezgis under the command of Sorkai Khan in Shamiki and Kechmez, forcing him to withdraw to Dagestan. Nader then marched to besiege Ganja in November 1734. The Ottoman artillery remained superior to the Safavid cannons, leaving the blockade and starvation of the Ottoman army as the only option. At this point, Russia, which still controlled some of the Caspian shore, was eager to create an alliance with Nader against their old foes, the Ottomans. In 1734, Prince Golitsyn met with Nader, telling him that the Russian army was ready to withdraw from the Safavid territories in exchange for an alliance against the Ottomans, the terms of which were later formalized in the Treaty of Ganja in March 1735. Meanwhile, Nader was trying to lure the Ottoman general Abdullah Köprülü into the open for a decisive battle, and decided to lay siege on Yerevan and Tiflis as well to force him out of Kars. Finally, Abdullah Köprülü moved towards Yerevan with 50,000 cavalry, 30,000 infantry and 40 cannons, and Nader marched to intercept the Ottoman army with his 15,000-strong vanguard, while the main 40,000-man force was behind them. The sides met at Murat Tepe or Baghdad near the river Arpachay. Nader ordered a small unit to wait in ambush in nearby woods, while another unit of 3,000 men was sent to attack. With the Ottomans busy dealing with them, Nader personally charged a small hill with 2,000 to 3,000 musketeers, where Abdullah Köprülü Pasha had decided to place his artillery. Caught by surprise, the Ottoman gunmen were overrun and their artillery captured. This was an instant blow to Ottoman morale. Not wasting any time, Nader ordered another unit to attack the Ottoman artillery on their left wing to preoccupy them, while sending his center to engage the Ottoman center. This push, combined with relentless fire from Nader's cannons and some 500 Zanbureks, sent the Ottomans into retreat. This was a decisive victory for Nader. The Ottoman Empire was forced to withdraw from the Caucasus. The old borders of the Safavid Empire were restored. After a disaster in Samarra, Nader managed to pick up the pieces to emerge victorious from yet another campaign. He had full legitimacy over the old Safavid Empire. This was now the time to proclaim himself the new Shah. But ever energetic and restless, Nader's military exploits were not over. His sights were now turned eastwards on the riches of the Mughal Empire. If you don't want to miss that and many other historical videos, make sure you are subscribed and have pressed the bell button to see them. Please consider liking, subscribing, commenting and sharing, it helps immensely. Recently, we've started releasing weekly Patreon and YouTube member exclusive content. Consider joining their ranks via the link in the description or button under the video to watch these weekly videos, learn about our schedule, get early access to our videos, access our private Discord, and much more. This is the Kings and Generals channel, and we will catch you on the next one.